Can you learn how to wheelie with a Surron Wheelie machine? That's coming right up. Hey everyone, my name is Rick Cordero. Welcome to RunPlayBack, where we help you with EV tech tips to lead a more efficient and affordable lifestyle. Let's be creative and save money at the same time. In this video, we'll check out a custom wheelie machine made for the Surron. The wheelie machine is a quick way to learn how to wheelie safely and effectively, even for beginners. We'll show you what's in the box, how to install it, and do some wheelie demos. And full disclosure, the wheelie machine in this video was purchased with our own money. We haven't received any cash or other forms of compensation in exchange for this video, and no one has had any pre-approval or conditions on the contents of this video before it was released. So can this really help us learn how to wheelie faster? Stick around to find out. All right, new package. This is shipped from Latvia. Okay. Looks like some additional pieces, a wheel, an arm, another arm. So this tip has a bearing inside of it, so it could spin freely. So it hooks up over here on this hex socket head, and it just kind of locks in. Same thing on the other side. And you just adjust it using this thing right here. And then there's another part to this that's still being shipped. I've never seen something like this specifically for the Surron. I reached out to the seller on Etsy to see if this would actually be compatible, and he said that it would work. So once we get the second package, we'll open that up, put everything together, and review it.
One debt to society later.
Okay, we finally have the second piece for our Surron wheelie machine. This is the rear. And it looks like this part got bent in transit. Should hopefully be okay. We'll just have to bend it back. This piece goes here. This is the important part. This is the thing that makes it safe to learn how to wheelie. I think the quality is pretty good. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Let's pack it up. Let's bring it to Wired Off-Road and see how it fits. We're here at the Wired Off-Road HQ. We got David.
Oh yeah.
Hello. A lot of stuff going on in here. We got two KX85s. If you were at the Surron ride, you probably saw these two bikes. Shout out to everyone who tried them out. My bike is here. David's working on some stuff for the Surron, some goodies, parts, things like that. The one thing that I need David's help with is this guy right here. So we want to make sure that fits into the Surron. The thing that we're worried about is this side over here where the hex cap is. Not quite sure that's enough clearance. We'll try it. Hopefully it stays. Hopefully the bike doesn't tip over. If we have to, we could potentially make two threaded sides and maybe even hollow this out a little bit more. So that is similar to a traditional dirt bike, which has a bit of a thicker axle. Hollow that axle right there. We were able to bend this bracket over here, it came bent. So just used a rubber mallet on it, bent it back. Not a big deal. Let's keep everything loose. Two more over here. Tighten this a little bit. That's pretty much the assembly. Pretty lightweight. You don't want to have a lot of weight dragging. We'll tighten everything up and then mount the bike and see how it goes.
Full disclosure, we don't really know what the hell we're doing. But we started out by getting the wheel, the whole bike loaded in here, approximately on center. And then we had to adjust these tie rods just by twisting them counterclockwise or clockwise to raise and lower each side, basically to just get these points into the axles. And then we tightened them down, put down on the lock nuts, and then we had to kind of readjust these a little bit to then get the tire to sit on the pavement. All of the weight of the bike is on the pavement. There's pretty much no slop in here as far as up and down. We think that's correct. We don't know. Picking the height for the backer here, the stopper, I was holding the front under the forks, And then Rick got in behind it when the bike was standing all the way up. He put his back against here, pretended to sit on it all while I was holding it vertical. And then we kind of just adjusted it to a point when I was holding essentially no weight and his back was no longer on the stopper here, kind of showing that you're at the balance point. So I think now we just got to try it and see what happens. And it's not going to be me going first.
So before we get to the demo, let's talk about how I got here. So I first learned how to wheelie last year with the homie Moto Matt. And while that session was really helpful, I didn't put enough practice in to gain the confidence to reach balance point. Next, I tried the wheelie guard, which in hindsight, I was probably not ready for. It was helpful, but the added weight on the back of the rear wheel gave a bit of a crutch when popping the bike up. Then I started to watch wheelie trainer videos on Instagram and realized that something like that could work for learning how to wheelie the Surron. It's just never been done before. So I found a seller on Etsy selling a wheelie trainer. He mentioned that it was compatible with the Surron, but I had some doubts. And it does work, but requires a few modifications that we'll get into later. But first, let's get to day one of our training session. Okay, here it is. The bike is now mounted up. Changed some of the settings in the GLE app to make sure that we have enough power to do some wheelies. My last wheelie experience was with Moto Matt, and I wasn't really comfortable, but hopefully this thing will help. We'll start slow. Here we go. All right. It's very loud, but I do feel comfortable on it. I am hitting, my back is hitting the, the cushion. Yeah, okay. Feel like I hit balance point there. It's really just trying to learn the throttle control, right? Just getting up there like that. There you go. See, I was never able to do that before. This thing is super fun. Oh my God. I think I am going too fast. Let's try slow wheelies, slow wheelies. Stay up. Now, learning the throttle control and the brake is essential, and that's what I'm trying to learn here. Wasn't good on the throttle right there. I mean, I am feeling like I'm learning stuff though, for sure. Confidence keeps building. There we go. Nice wide turn. I feel like I'm riding a pedal cab here. Nice slow wheelies. There we go. Those few minutes alone, I feel like I made so much progress. Now I kind of know what it feels like to be up in the air, to feel that balance point. So for anyone who just, has that fear, just can't get those few inches just to reach balance point, this will definitely help you. Once you're on this thing, do not drop your feet down. Basically, your feet could get locked up in these sections of metal over here, which would not be good. But everything is super secure, like the wheel feels like it's locked in. You don't really feel the weight of it. It's just keeping me straight, which may not translate in the real world when you're actually moving. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just training me to feel the balance point and just to get up there quicker and, learn how to throttle. That's why we test these devices first, so we spend the money before you do. That's the RunPlayBack way. And we'll put some more people on it and see how that looks.
We're starting from the bottom. Never done anything more than just a power wheelie on our KX85, so we'll see. That's I'm not even familiar with the Surron riding style, so it'll be a lot of learning. Keep your feet on the pegs because you don't want to put your feet down and get them caught in here and here and here and here. The pad position in the back could be different from where Rick is at, just because might sit in a different spot or whatever. Okay. Holy shit. It just feels so unnatural.
I know.
I wonder, I
They're gonna fall.
might put the back up one more notch just to like get more comfortable with it. I think it'll feel a lot better once I pop it the first time and feel the back, just so I know like approximately. Okay, I found it. It was aggressive, but I found it. And then I whiskey throttled it on the way down. Okay, so I gotta pay more attention to getting back further, faster. Okay, yeah, it's feeling more natural. Okay, that was a good one. That was a good one. I got a long ways to go, but it's a ton of fun. Just, I think the amount of progress you can see in just like 10 minutes or whatever that was, it makes it a lot more rewarding and satisfying and lower risk, that's for sure. I'm excited to try and get on my bike and put it in this thing and see what that's like, because I'm just a little more comfortable in general with it.
So on day 2, things were definitely getting more dialed in. After tuning our GLE app for about 30 minutes, the throttle started to feel more manageable and under control. I was purely focused on slow wheelies at balance point. Power wheelies, or chasing the wheelie, were things I was trying to avoid. As I got more comfortable, we lowered the height of the seat catcher so I could go further back. By the end of the day, I even had enough confidence to wheelie Wired Off-Road's electric KX85. Overall, it was a great day and a fun training session, but there are some mods we need to do before the next one. Back at Wired Off-Road, here with David.
So for one, the Surron has an Allen slot, which means that this spindle, over time, it kind of started spinning and eating away at the Allen. And now we've got a nice rounded out slot there. So we want to replace it with this upgraded axle that's got dimples machined into both ends. The spindle here can fit perfectly in and make nice solid contact, and we'll be able to get the axle out because it won't have, it's not an Allen wrench, it's a hex on the outside. Yeah, we're gonna try and get this out. Worst case, we cut a little slot in here with the Dremel and use a flathead screwdriver to kind of hold it. And it's gonna be a little bit long, I think, so it comes with some spacers. We might have to put a spacer on one side and then put the nut on.
Let's break it. There you go.
Oh yeah, it's going.
We're good?
Yep, we're good.
But we can't put it back in.
No, it's done. It's never going back out.
It served its purpose. We did learn stuff. So we do salute this rear axle for its sacrifice. So all that metal just out of there. Let's just put it through the hole first.
So we'll just put a spacer like this guy in, kind of right there.
You have done that yourself.
We learned a lot in our first run, and the bearing was not spinning with the axle. Basically, the tip of this screw goes into this bearing and spindle assembly, but it was too long, so it was actually bottoming out on this thing. So essentially, it was connecting all this together and ignoring the bearings. So that was making it rub right in here, and it completely destroyed them. So I had to get this machine down, a new 60-degree taper on there, so it's nice and smooth. And then we've got our updated axle with the 60-degree center drills on each end. If you lift up the back of this, we can see that the spindle pointy part stays stationary primary with the axle, and this rotates separately with the wheelie machine. So the bearings are actually doing their job now. The threads are pushing on the inner race of the bearing right now, which is not ideal, but it's should be fine, I think.
This gentleman here bled the brakes, and after he bled them, we noticed that there was not much pad left on Rick's pads that he had in there. So we ended up swapping out some sintered pads, some mild sintered pads, and had to rebleed them again to make them have the proper adjustment because when he was pulling his lever, it was coming all the way down into his knuckles, and now you can pull it and it doesn't hit your knuckles anymore. So hopefully you don't bottom out on your finger and loop out.
Had I known a little bit more about this closed loop, like non-reservoir system, I wouldn't have bled them in the first place, and I would have noticed that the pads were worn out to the point of running the system out of brake fluid. After you check your brake pads, and if you still have issues here, then adjust with this adjustment screw to adjust the lever.
Any mountain bike brake generally has an adjustment screw on it. There's different styles of them. Some of them are like in the lever here, and then others are on the back side here. But for the majority of most mountain bike brakes, they do come with an adjustment screw on them.
We did the front fender delete kit for Rick's bike here, because you get a little more visibility when you're popping that wheelie up. So then move the bars back slightly to give a little more visibility. Rick found, kind of after watching the footage, that his foot was sort of resting a little back further, almost on the kickstand, and so there's some adjustability in where the foot pegs are, so we just move the foot peg back one notch. The pressure in the rear tire is a lot lower now. When you've got a rock hard tire, your contact area is just a little spot, but when you got the lower pressure, maybe it comes out to like that big. You get that much more balance, easier to wheelie, easier to hold it there.
And then also with your tire pressure going lower, it'll slow you down more while you're rolling, so you don't necessarily need as much regen. When Rick first told me about this contraption that he had envisioned, this was not what I envisioned. It sounded a lot more intimidating on paper, and looking at it, it's very simplistic, and it looks like it is going to do everything that you need it to do. Getting over that initial fear of popping the wheel up further than 2 inches, because it is a little frightening if you're not used to that. Before I rode Surrons, I rode electric razors, and that thing scared me. In the first 30 minutes, I mouse trapped it. And the machine also, being that it has extra contact points, will probably also help you slow down a little bit more, so that you're not always chasing out that wheelie, that you have, you know, some type of resistance to where you're still able to do the wheelie, but you're not necessarily chasing it out as fast, because when you're wheeling, it's not all about speed, it's about brake control. But when you take it off, you are introduced to a whole nother dynamic, being able to tilt to the left and to the right. Considering I mouse trapped my razor in the first 30 minutes of riding it, I'm in the just fall and just try it category. But if someone offered me an opportunity to ride something like this, and or if it was just like, you know, not a very expensive endeavor to try it, it would definitely have helped me get my foot in the door, and possibly even sooner than I did.
I'm actually intrigued on how this is going to work. I'm interested to see how it feels. I might have to lower the backrest down a little bit more. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there when we get there. Interesting. I definitely like the way it feels when it touches your back. It like holds you in place. Your seat's definitely pretty slippery, like you were saying. I do like this. This works out very well, Rick. It's a good purchase on your part. I feel like they make you go like they drag you, because you have the caster in the back, you know what I mean? And that one kind of floats with you. And I feel like once it gets to like one way, it just kind of just pulls you along to like the left or the right, whichever way it goes, you know what I mean? There's no like really going back from which way it's turning. It definitely keeps you straight, and once you get to balance point, it keeps you locked pretty much the entire time until you hit the brakes. Tune is great. I like like it much better when it's just back that little bit, because it like keeps it from when you get to like 12, your back doesn't just, you know, hit it right away. It kind of gives you like the feeling that you have to hit the brake instead of like, you know what I mean? You touch that and it's like your savior. Like for someone that doesn't know a brake, you know what I mean? They would get used to just that, being that close to just stopping them right when they get to balance point. But like this way you can actually like bring it back enough to slow down, and at least in my opinion, I feel like it's a lot better with it, just like a little inch that we just did.
Just dive right into it. Okay, so initial thoughts. Tracked way better than I expected. Kept you locked in so that the little bit of like instability that I have, and that's like my hardest thing when stunting, is keeping it smooth and straight like some of the riders do. Like Cole Holly, the man's a legend. But yeah, it definitely is. I feel like it might even help me a little bit to keep it more steady. We'll see. Let me give it a few more tries here. Although I'm impressed you do it so slow, Rick. And the throttle feels 100 times better with the tune. That tune is amazing. If you had a bigger parking lot, that's really all you would need. And it doesn't matter if you're going in a circle or straight, because this isn't teaching you how to go in a circle. It's teaching you how to get to balance point and maintain balance point using the brakes. And it does a great job of doing so. Hold on, I got one for you here, Rick. You might want to be on my left side though, if possible. If you gave me someone and maybe just a few hours, just about anyone, whether you have a riding background or not, I'm confident I could get you confident at balance point and to ride it out. But when you get on it, don't expect it to make you a professional right when you take the training wheels off. It's like, you know, when you first take your training wheels off your actual pedal bicycle, you'll still fall a few times after that because you're still learning. Other than that, super impressed with how it worked out. It is not nearly as scary as I imagined it, because like I said, when I was imagining it in my head, it was just, it sounded like a death machine, but it's super, super stable. You don't feel like it's making you track any what way. It probably would, I mean, I progressed pretty quickly in my own mind, but I feel like this would have like almost cut it in half, just having that extra confidence, that extra like helping hand to keep you from not being scared. Because I mean, really, the majority of learning is just getting over that fear of being at balance point and the bike being weightless. With my one-handers, it definitely gives me more confidence, because I know that if I do not hit the brakes, at least there's something to catch me from looping. You know, with this, I mean, I just popped off the first try. It was like it was nothing. It gave me all the confidence I needed to just do it. And this isn't even my bike. It's at a higher power level than my bike, and I didn't feel like I was out of control at all. I felt completely in control of the bike the entire time, and that's thanks to the trainer.
All right, moment of truth. There's no seat to catch me. It's a little different. Definitely a little different. Hey! All right, So it takes some getting used to. Now I need to learn left and right. Now I need to learn how to like stay balanced. Shift my weight. Hey! So day 3 was the first training session without the machine. I actually felt more confident and less afraid of looping. The wheelie machine definitely boosted my ability to find the balance. However, staying at balance point and side-to-side movements are skills that can only be acquired off the machine. Now let's talk about how this wheelie machine will trigger some big emotions. So why would someone get triggered over beginners who want to learn balance control on a machine instead of just sending it? I think the knee-jerk reaction is that using the machine doesn't teach you to fall, but it also doesn't teach you to be a tough guy on the internet. What I've discovered is that the Surron stunt community is a different breed. They're supportive and encouraging to anyone who puts some level of effort to learn a new skill. Is this machine going to teach you balance control or how to fall correctly? No, of course not, but it will show you exactly what balance point feels like and if your bike is tuned to your experience level. At this point, I'll be practicing without the wheelie machine and put it back on to eventually learn combos and more advanced tricks. The biggest value is that it can really teach anyone how to wheelie, but only if they're willing to put in the work. And honestly, if I can learn how to wheelie, anyone can. If you want to dive into more EV tech tips, click the links on the side and remember to like and subscribe so we can help you find tech deals that fit your lifestyle. We'll see you guys in the next video.